there, Wanderers. Welcome to Wandering Wednesday with myself and with
There we go.
Natalie. We're happy to have you here with us. It's going to be a fun night. We're going to be talking about all kinds of
I
great
can't
things.
hear. Can you hear me?
Yes,
No. Yes?
yes.
I
Oh, I
can't
guess
hear
we're
either
having
one.
technical difficulties again. Go out and come back in. We're going to be talking about all kinds of great things tonight that are going to
Oh,
help
let
every
me.
single person that is out there in the universe because we all experience stress. Every one of us at some point in our lives. I'm typing on the side to Natalie, so I'm a little distracted.
Can you hear? I can hear you now.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So I'm AJ.
I'm Natalie.
And we're your hosts. And thank you for your patience.
Note to
It's
self: don't bump any of the equipment right before
note
the
to
show
self,
starts.
don't stress. Don't stress. It's awesome how every time we choose a topic, which tonight is called Boiling Point, we're going to be talking about stress, stress management, stress in our body, stress as a teacher, all kinds of good things about stress. And we actually, we're all affected by stress. And so it's a thing. But we go through some lessons before every topic. I swear we do. Like these things just happen for us and it's so we can show up and talk about it the best way that we know how. We're experienced in stress. All of us, I feel like all of us are, right? We all can talk about stress. And we're not going to focus on the negatives of stress, although we'll talk about some of that. And we'll talk about all things when it comes to stress. But before that, I want to make sure you guys know you can learn about Natalie and myself by visiting soulwanderings.com. And we pick our show topics every week. But if you have a show topic you'd like to share as well, you can email us at connect@soulwanderings.com or on any of our social links that you can find on our website on soulwanderings.com. During the day, Natalie and I hang out at Vibes, Mind, Body, Spirit, the beautiful healing center where we offer services and classes to help you become a better version, a healed version, a new version, an updated version of you. It's so good. So check vibesnow.com. And yeah, Natalie, what's up?
Hey, isn't that funny? I just started out the show with just a little stressful moment. Oh, you kept
I
me up.
wasn't stressed. I knew you'd figure it out. Our listeners probably were like, oh, here we go again. Are we going to have the show? Is it going to happen? So when you don't have like all the extra fancy crew that we used to have, and so grateful for them, they were so good to us and for us,
Yes.
right? Um, we just wing it. Now we just have this leveling leveling up at Vibes. That is what we are doing.
Yes.
So yeah, here we are. Here we be. Let's go. Let's talk about stress. I'm not
With a
stressed right now, but I was today. I just have to share my experience really quickly because, like I said, we go through it, right? We go through the thing before we talk about the thing. And today I started a new health protocol and uh, starting it the first hour, I was not okay. I was not okay. I got very woozy and very dizzy and very nauseous and just had a grand old time for a couple of hours. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to make it till tonight. I don't know how I'm going to do this. So we stopped the protocol. and now we are in the clear. Stress is leaving the body, and I am good to go.
The show must go on.
The show must go on. Yeah, unless, yeah, I'm down and out, but even then, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Good stuff, people. What about you? How's stress shown up for you lately?
Um, so I would say um, some underlying things we've talked on the show. I continue to do my work, and there are
Mhm.
times in the cleaning and clearing and moving through life events that changes come along the way, like
Mhm.
possible changes within my own framework and as a life path 4 shape moving things in my foundational arena, however different aspects of my life are foundational, can bring on some that instability. Now,
Mm.
I don't so human design wise, I don't have a natural stress mechanism within me. So most of my stress sort of energy comes from the pressure that I feel to get things done quickly or to move through things or feeling it from others.
Mm.
But
You're
but that
welcome.
right.
I'm such a good teacher.
I have stood next to people with defined roots and I was like, oh, that's something. I remember a
Yeah.
situation with you in the last few weeks that I was like, oh, I can feel you.
You know what's crazy about that is like most of the time I don't feel stressed. I've really learned to like lean in and breathe. Breathing is very important, and we can talk about all of this later, but how I navigate stress differently now. But continue with your story.
Right. So I think that's part of it. But today I had one client and then a break, um, and then coming back to do the show later. So I have been waiting like years to pull up some carpet in my basement, in a room in my basement. So there was an opportunity to get it moved along. And so I said, I'm going to stick it in here. And so the room's in disarray, which can be a little bit. Um, that just shifts things and moves things around. And then once you start a project in a home, you got to be on it. So that's kind of what I was going through today. While you were going through your situation, I was just shifting my foundation. So now I have
It's
some more work
wild.
to do. So I'm going to work on staying at that project, house projects, but it's okay. It's also a willingness to allow the change and the cleaning and clearing of some
Mhm.
energy that I need to clear in my house. So it's those types
Yeah,
of
yeah.
things. And I feel like this is a
It's
good stress for me where
mhm.
it's change is necessary for progress. And so this is one of the beneficial things about a positive stress is a movement or a pressure or push to move through things.
Mhm. Stress is a great teacher, and it's
Yes.
a great marker, like an indicator, right? I think that in a lot of ways it can help us or deter us or even damage us.
Hmm.
But that's what we're going to talk about. Why am I so excited to talk about stress? I don't know. I
Well, you're
think,
always,
what's that?
I said, you're always excited to talk about these topics. So it's one of those beneficial things we
Hmm.
get to talk about things that really are applicable to life.
Yeah, yeah, it's so good. It's so good. So, we're going to talk about stress. And what I can say about stress is more than I've already said. We have a whole hour to talk about. So, we'll go hindsight, right? Like going back to seeing like the old ways and a lot of ways that most Americans live in their heads. And we create all of these stories and create all of these unnecessary stresses, and we worry, and all of these things pile up. They add up. They end up causing all kinds of health issues, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And then on the flip side of that, learning how to navigate through stress and even managing stress, the freedom that comes from all of that. So let's start at the beginning. Let's start about we have a stressed human being. Stressed out. I have rent coming. I need to buy groceries. I might lose my job, having car problems, having health problems, like all the stresses that everyday life brings. So I'm coming to you, Natalie. I'm stressed out of my mind. What are you going to tell me?
Breathe.
Yes, connect to your breath. Connect to your
Breathe.
breath. Breathing is the most important thing that can bring you here to the present moment right now. Connect to your breath.
It's so powerful because a lot of times stress comes from being anywhere but now. Being in the future with worry and concerns and how's it going to happen and these types of things. Inherently, I find that people that are stressed about bills and these things have probably through life not necessarily kept the trust that life is there for them and supporting them.
Mm-hmm.
Different life situations, just stressing out because different decisions that you might have made, or some things that really need to be cleaned up, or just not just the normal human living. But we get out of our body
Mm-hmm.
and not in the now. And our body really misses us. If pieces and parts of us are not all together in the now, the essence of us misses all the pieces and parts of us, including if the mind is in the future or worrying about the past, and the body ends up with the stress experience even from that thing. And the breath puts us squarely in the body. It's the first thing we do when we're born, and it just brings us back into the now,
Yes.
because we can only exist in the now. The body exists nowhere but the now.
You talk about having like fragmentation and pieces like being left all over. And when we connect to our breath and being here in the now, I've noticed in the past where I've left like little pieces energetically of myself everywhere, a lot of it was because of stressful situations or allowing myself to have the stress take over. One of the really most powerful tools that I used was the power of my breath, one, and two, the power of my voice. So saying something like, I demand or command all of the pieces of me to come back to me now. I'm putting both of my feet on the ground when I say it, taking a deep breath, and asking for all these pieces to come back to me. Because not only are you in the present moment with your breath, then all of these pieces that you've left energetically here, there, wherever, are all coming back to you. So you feel more whole, more grounded in your body. You demand it.
That's very good. Way to use your manifestor power.
Oh, Natalie.
It's true. I'm
Just
like, that's
it
rare.
works for me. It might not work for everyone, but yes, definitely your breath is the most important thing of all things. But also, there's some other practical applications, as you would say, that we could utilize through our day to day or big life experiences when we're having them. Because as we know, stress causes a lot of issues, not just from your mind overthinking and worrying about things that have happened that you can't change or have yet to happen because they haven't occurred, but the physical effects that it takes on your body. Like people literally have heart attacks over stress or have other physical issues because of stress. And stress, I mean, we can get stressed by anything. We can have a reason to have stress over anything in our lives. We also have the power of choice and what we choose to let in. So do you want to talk
And
a little bit about, go ahead.
and the attitude that we choose about any given situation.
Yes, everything comes down to a choice.
I was smiling because it was something that we said recently. You and I having a conversation recently about you have a choice of what you let in. You have a choice on what you
Mm-hmm.
agree to. A lot of times we will um, decide to give our energy towards something, and then you get in and explore it, and then you might find that it just doesn't work for you and you need to withdraw, but you're not sure. There's an over responsibility for people, for yourself, and other people as far as an emotional experience.
Mm-hmm.
I recently had this conversation with someone where literally when I said, and this was his basic design information, when I told him his natural state was neutrality and not happiness, he was relieved that he didn't, because he had been striving and striving and striving to be happy, and that wasn't
Mm-hmm.
even as natural. That's like the happiness trip. Like I want to be happy, I want to be happy. But that's nobody's natural state all the time. We're
No.
not designed to be in a state of happiness because it a duality that we live in. This duality is tops and bottoms and backs and fronts and in and out and ups and downs and backward and forward. So to remember that too can help reduce the stress, to have a framework of the way
Mm-hmm.
the world really is operating, like our materium, this Maya that we live in all the time, that it's duality. It's two things, not just one thing, two sides of the
Mm-hmm.
coin. And so that can often help in situations. I find that our mental framework has a big role to play. So our mental scripts, and we talk about this in just about every topic, just because it really is a quite the aspect of us as humans, is a
Mm-hmm.
is a shift in perspective is a miracle. When you change the way you look at something, that thing changes. It just really
Yeah.
works that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so even if we have to practice to say, okay, how, if you could even for a moment believe that you could let this stress go, especially if it's a detrimental kind of stress that's not helping, or move your body to move the stress. So allowing the mental framework to say, I can let this go, I can watch as it unfolds. You don't know how the future is going to be. Nobody does. The future is just going to unfold automatically. And then if you're a natural person that has a lot of adrenalized energy running through you naturally, you can find that out in the design, but you can also know your nature. Then
Mm-hmm.
regular and consistent exercise really works. It's
Yes.
amazing how many people are not willing to walk for 20 minutes a day to improve their life.
Yeah.
It's such an inexpensive, free way to move that adrenalized stress energy, is to
Mm-hmm.
let the body move. It needs to move, and it will let go of that stuff automatically.
Mm-hmm. Or as you know what I say, when in doubt, dance it out. That's my kind of movement. At
Dance
morning
party in
dance.
the kitchen.
Yep, morning dance parties in my kitchen, sipping on my coffee. It's a thing.
Hmm.
Um, I love all of the things that you shared. What do you feel about when you just wake up in the morning and you're just like automatically stressed? You didn't sleep well, or maybe you did, or maybe you had some dreams, or maybe none of it. Maybe you slept great and you just woke up and you're just like, you can feel the stress in your body. There's no way to like link it to a specific thing like the thoughts in your head or the day ahead or anything like that. You just naturally are feeling this stress. If you don't have like a reason, what do you work on? How do you work on that?
I have definitely adopted a different perspective on that. I don't actively work on things necessarily because things unfold. And so it's really difficult. If you actively work on something, then that means the mind is at play. And the mind's really good at analyzing, but it can analyze the wrong thing. But a lot of times, if you just wake up in the morning and there's
Mhm.
some sort of mood there, it it's not a reason to change anything. It's chemistry most often.
Yeah.
And so you get up and get going and do your thing. Um, and interact with the day
Mhm.
and respond as you go through it, um, through your day. Breathing, there's different types of things of as far as morning routine. There could be a lot of different reasons which only
Mhm.
the individual will truly know. Did you stay up too late watching too much screen time? Did you eat a bunch of sugar is such a thing as far as the effect it has on a body. it's
Yeah.
it's really significant.
Diet in general,
Hmm.
right? I
Yeah.
asked the listeners in the chat room, what stress relief tips do you have? We got live in response. That's a good one. Our little generator.
Yeah, she is.
We also have another comment from Charles. My biggest stressor is having too many demands at the same time. I clear the desktop by reading, then I pick out which stressor I'm ready to deal with all by itself. Great. That's a great tip.
So that's a very modern problem, is to have too many things to deal with at any one given
Hmm.
time. Um, and I had a director that I worked for at one point, and she said, "We can only do one thing at a time.
Yeah.
One thing at a time." So that in itself is a realization that I can only do one thing, and to pick one thing and stay at it. Oftentimes, this attempt to multitask and try to get a lot of things done sometimes ends up with nothing really getting completed and off the
Hmm.
plate.
Yeah.
And so the willingness to just say, okay, I'm going to just focus on one thing at a time, and I can only do. I'm one person, and a self-assuring, self-affirming um, place with where you just you affirm yourself and say, I'm doing the best I can, and I'll work on this thing, and then I'll work to the next thing.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of us that will have the tendency to overpromise, and we'll actually
Mhm.
put a lot on our plate when we're not able to accomplish that much. So be
Um,
mindful of how much you're agreeing to. And sometimes the hardest word is one of the simplest words in the English language. Sometimes it's the hardest word to say is no. I can't do that right now.
yes. I've learned that word. I love it. I love the idea of writing things down. I always have my book. Everyone knows I have a list, a long list of things to do or what I want to do. And every day I break it down. What is something that I can accomplish today? And if that gets done, what's the next thing I'll accomplish today? A lot of things on my list get pushed aside because I think in the moment we're so good at overcomplicating things as humans. And so we have like this list in our head or we've written it down or whatever and we're like, I have to get all of this done. I have to hurry and get this all done. It has to be all done by this certain time and and we do the thing with our heads. And when you write things down, you gain more clarity, but then you can prioritize. And a lot of times, just by getting it out of your head and onto paper, relieves the stress. It's like, oh, yeah, that doesn't feel as bad as it felt inside my body. There's so much power in writing things down, not just for stress, but for a lot of reasons. And I think that um, it brings you, it's not like as powerful as your breath, but it does declutter your mind. And it also um, releases a lot of the control, because we want to control everything, right? And so if we write it down, we're like, oh, actually, I can have so and so do this. They'll help me with this. Or I can do this next week. It doesn't really have to be done now, and you just really get real with yourself. We like to do that. I think those are healthy things to do. Oh, here's another one. Thank you, Kimberly. Showering to let the water wash it away. I also think better in water. Ooh, I love that. I agree. Yep. I'm a bath girl every day. Let's take a bath. Let's take a bath. Let's soak away our stress.
So that's a little energetic tidbit, is to know what your astral. Oh, yep, those baths.
Ritual baths, ritual baths.
She's like, go check out there. You'll have some. To know which element is your natural element according to your sun sign, and we can utilize our astrology, which just by our very nature says, okay, if you know that you're an earth sign, then definitely grounding is an important aspect for you. Put your feet in the ground, have dirt around you, and or
It's my
sprays.
grounding spray.
Oh, that reminds me. So let's talk for a minute about borrowed stress.
Ooh, let's talk about borrowed stress. I don't want it, but let's talk about it.
Are you taking on the stress of another? I had that experience with a friend of mine this week. She had someone come over to her house the night before, and that person was in a funky place, and they spent a long time talking about their issues and their problems, and she just felt all that energy, and then she was talking to me about it, and then
The
I was like,
next day.
whoa, whoa, we need to spray some stuff to
Mhm.
clear that energy that was like bounced up. That time two people's away from the source of the ick. And
Yeah,
this often happens. Sometimes you go into a cube farm or when you're working and you've got coworkers, and you can have people around you that have a tendency to stress out and all that type of stuff, which is a vicarious um, stress. You pick it up, it can be contagious. That's a good way to put it. Where
very
stress
true.
can be contagious.
I agree with that. I think that for me, like because I've learned to manage my stress so much better than I used to, I do pick up on other people's stress quite easily. And if you want to go like all spiritual woo woo, you can like learn about blocking and shielding yourself energetically and not picking that up. But we're talking practical right now.
I think beneficial. The practical aspect is to understand that if you were feeling a particular way and then you get around the presence of another person, to be able to learn to troubleshoot in that way, it's
Mhm,
it's a practice where you can start to notice that you picked up the energy of another person, and to not own the energy, because it's so easy to own the energy that we pick up from the world,
mhm.
and then create these mind patterns, if we want to put it that way, to say this is, I'm stressed, or without identifying that it literally was from someone else. And it is so much simpler to let go. Is this even mine? Is this even something I need to be continuing to carry?
Right. You talk about sensing the stress from people in the world. One of the ways that I relieve stress is actually connecting to the world. So not necessarily like feeling their stress, but I feel like acts of service, acts of kindness, things like that are a really great stress reliever. Not to add to your plate, but it gives you like this sense of purpose, right? Because stress a lot of times you feel helpless. You feel like you've lost direction. You have all of these other heavier emotions, and I think when you step outside of yourself and realize Like there are other people who have a lot of things to be more stressed about than you, and you can actually support them in ways that are doable for you, not to add stress to your plate, but um, just to give you a sense of purpose and connect to yourself and to others that way. I think that's really, really helpful, at least for me. I find stress relief a lot of times when I can help somebody, even with like listening to them, which doesn't cost me anything but my time. And my time's important, but like, just listening or giving them a hug or smile at them from across the room, like those things can help not just you, but them as well.
So in conversing with people have personalities, of course, and a lot of times we'll have a stressful personality, but they're a simple diffusing um, technique is to agree with people and not debate it. Like,
Mhm.
I had this recently where I simply agreed with this guy that I was talking with, and he didn't know quite what to do because most people started debating with him
Mhm.
about this concept that he had in his own mind, and I said, "Yep, yep.
Yeah.
I don't have to completely agree with his perspective, but it's diffusing when you actually accept what someone's trying to say.
Yeah.
It can be less stressful for the person. A lot of times we want to resist their perspective, their struggle, their difficulty, their point of view, which is understandable. Um, but sometimes it's easy to just say, "Oh, okay,"
Mhm.
and that can diffuse stress, and the stress that can happen in a tug of war, a conversation that ends up being a sort of tug of war or a debate.
Mhm. Definitely. I admire that in you when I watch you, even when you've worked with me, but when I observe you working with other people, and everyone has their story in that moment of all the reasons why they're stressed and all the reasons why life feels a certain way. And instead of you saying, you shouldn't feel that way, or whatever thing that most people will just automatically go to, you're like, uh-huh, okay, yeah, you did that with me today. I was talking about death and dying, one of my favorite topics, and I'm like, "That feels a certain sort of way." I'm like sharing my feelings. You're like, "Yep." And I was like, "Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yes."
It can be stressful to not be heard by a person if you're trying to put your if you're expressing yourself, and especially if it's vulnerable things,
Mhm.
and to be cut off, or to not allow you to be allowed to fully express yourself.
Yeah. And also a lot of times we just wanna be heard. That's part of the stress that some of us experience is that we wanna be validated in our experience. We wanna be heard. We want someone to listen to how we feel. And when you're just like, "Yeah, you feel that way. Yep, yep, I understand. It's good." And you're like, "Wait, what? Huh?" You said diffuse the situation. That made me think of another way that I manage my stress is with my oil diffuser. Essential oils. Okay, so I'm an aromatherapist. They're my jam. I do a lot of oil stuff, a lot of oil stuff. And oils in a diffuser are on your body or just smelling them out of the bottle. Such a great stress relief. Such a straight, yeah, it's so good.
They really do work. I was earlier through this last week, I was just said, I'm gonna dress myself in joy, which is a particular blend called
Mhm.
joy. And I was working on adjusting my emotional perspective in life. So I just grabbed the bottle of joy and dressed it myself in joy and go out into the
Mhm.
world that day. And do you know what? It shifted.
Yes, it's so good. It's so they really it's not just that they smell good. There are chemical constituents to every essential oil that help the emotional system, the mental system, and even the physical. So I know they're an investment, but if you just buy one every now and then, you slowly start building a collection, and it's worth it.
It is.
Totally worth it. Um, let's talk about stress spiritually speaking.
Oh, let's do that.
Yeah. So how do you feel it affects us on a spiritual level when we're constantly living in like a stress, like fight or flight, or just maybe even some people get adrenalized off of the stress, and so like they crave that energy.
Like drama,
Yeah, exactly, like
like
drama.
extra drama. Let's stir the pot a little bit.
Yeah.
Sometimes people can like be like that.
Hmm.
Well, it's boring in Nirvana, so we,
And humans were messy.
yes, we come here to figure out how it works in the form.
Mhm.
Um, so one, um, there was like thoughts that went,
Do-do-do-do. You need to rein
so,
it back in.
right. It's a low frequency.
Mhm.
Stress is fear and anxiety is lower density thinking. Um, actually was reading in a book. This was an interesting quote. I love when there's a powerful one paragraph in a just a novel that I'm reading. And this said that fear was basically there was a lot of fear associated with anticipation or expectations and things like that.
Mm.
And so spiritually, fear is has been quoted to say false evidence appearing real. And we're here in school, and Spirit is a teacher, and we will be given teachers. So at our old location, before we moved, there was one of the quotes I liked that was written on the wall was, "He who angers you conquers you."
Mhm.
And the Spirit, the universe likes to send us really crafty instructors, especially if you're working on your game. Then you'll get a teacher that'll come along, and what disturbs you is what will help you grow a level spiritually.
Mhm.
And so you're going to be given things to mess your hair up, to ruffle your feathers, to disturb your peace a little bit, to see how you can adjust to that next level. Where when we level up, we get a whole new way of regaining this higher level of skill set. So of course you're
Mhm.
going to have stuff to stress you to help you grow your strength. So that's what I
That's
think about that.
that's exactly how I feel. In fact, in the beginning, when I was saying stress is a teacher for us, it is one of the many teachers for us to bring awareness and level us up. Like it shows up, it presents itself, and then it's a test, just like everything else in this life. How are you going to navigate your way through the stress? And the more you learn to consciously work through your stress instead of holding on to it and clinging it really does matter. It helps you raise your vibration. And we've talked about that in many shows. And just like earlier, the number one thing that we were saying to manage your stress is connecting to your breath. That also raises your vibration, your frequency. So it's just like another way, another teacher to remind you of the power that you have inside of you. Like everything comes down to a choice you make. You may have all these stressful experiences, some of them may be really horrible and horrific. But how do you navigate your way through these experiences? Because you have the choice. You have the choice to cling on to that and take it inside of your body, which causes the dis-ease, or you can learn and find out ways and learn with different tools how to navigate your way through stress in a healthier way so that you're not holding on to this energy that just does not serve you. Most of it is unnecessary. Sometimes it shows up to show you different ways. It is a teacher. Sometimes you will have this really great experience and come out on the end of it and be wiser and better for it. And sometimes it's just really destructive.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, indeed, she says.
To listen and think my next thoughts so that I have some. I was, while you were talking about that, I was feeling like there are times where life just really truly becomes overwhelming,
Mhm,
depending on what you have on your plate.
mhm,
And when that happens, you're not putting in. We did that show on the pause. You don't put in a section of time where you really get to slow down, pause for inspiration, which is inspiration will show you what it is that you need to do to adjust whatever is going on in your life. So connecting to that intuitive aspect of yourself, because
yeah,
we all have our guides, our angels, our spirit self, our higher self, that's talking to us, that is trying to give us guidance, especially during those hard times,
mhm,
that we're just getting these little whispers, and sometimes we're so overwhelmed and caught up in it that we're not pausing to hear the little tiny voice that's saying, hold on. I- with all these years that I've been working with my intuition will show me in my mind's eye, and this is practiced. It'll show me what I can do to solve just a real world situation. This is just practical stuff. If I'm working on something, um, a tool or whatever I'm doing, it'll flash in my mind what I could do, something I could do. And this is something I've had to connect with over time and learn the language of the
mhm,
intuition. The intuition doesn't always speak. It speaks however it is. It's really personalized. So our intuitions are very personalized. But
mhm.
there's languages from our guides, from our intuition, that that's personal to you. And have you tapped into that? Have you just learned the essence of that? Do you have a space where you can trust it?
Mhm.
All of those things are part of the spiritual growth that um, can help you through all those things. The universe wants to provide and guide us
It
direction.
absolutely. You know, you were talking about that. We had our open house for our new location this past Friday, which if you are listening and you were here to attend, thank you for showing up. And if you sent your well wishes, all of that, it was such an amazing event. We had such a glorious time. Um, we had a couple of people that share space here with us in our classroom. Naomi, she's a medium, and Dana, she does readings and also human design. But they both had cards on their tables to give. And I went and pulled a card off of Naomi's. Specifically, that's the one I'm going to talk about. I have it sitting here on my desk. And when you pick cards from people on their tables, they just have them spread out. And then you just feel your way through. And mine was I give me space to breathe in this moment and recognize there is beauty in life's pauses.
Ah,
And here you are. And that's so good.
oh, look at that. There's a little, I love that
Little
it's a
stopwatch.
watch that says,
Little
um,
stopwatch.
mhm,
Yeah, so I mean that's applicable.
yes. When was the last time you paused without a stimulant? We
Mhm.
have so much entertainment and screen time, and there's just a whole realm of distractions, which are lovely because we live in a modern world, and so it's really enjoyable to consume what our modern world offers us. We really do have a lot of luxury to have downtime and those types of
Mhm.
things in our world. There's a lot of people on this planet that don't have anything like that, that
It's true.
they get the opportunity to, and sometimes that's a good perspective too, to say, um, to really to recognize that there's a whole, I mean, there's 7 billion people on this planet. Just think about that first. 7 billion perspectives. And
Mhm.
um, so it's beneficial to also just do that little check to say, oh, it's there. I think it's been a while, but there was videos that were going back around years ago that's like first world problems.
Mhm.
To have first world problems, why that your ice just isn't cold enough or something like that. You don't
Yeah.
have ice for your beverage. First world problems. Sometimes it's just a personal check to say, okay, I can just chill out.
Yeah.
Am I making too big of an issue? Am I making a mountain out of a molehill? Is this the hill that I'm going to die on today? And this often can
Mhm.
happen with work stress. Um,
Mhm.
that do the best you can. Everybody's always doing the best that they can in any given moment.
Mhm. And I like that you brought that up. Being in gratitude really does change perspective in so many situations, and I that's one of the tools that I use also in stressful situations is reminding myself of everything that I have. Like, sometimes we get so caught up in what we don't have or what we feel like we need or how it needs to look or be a certain way, and we realize that we always have everything that we need. And oh, so other card I wanted to read. This was the other card. I'm gonna read them because they're always never just for you, right? It's like
Right.
a reading, if we had an online reading, it's for everybody, not just the person they're reading. But this is a card I feel like um, I'm just gonna share. Together in the light, I give thanks for all who enter my life. I understand we are all exactly who and where we are supposed to be, and everyone contributes to each other's personal growth. Every reaction someone draws from me is a gift from their soul to mine, meant to help free me from my inner conflicts. Today, by focusing on my own development rather than on others' faults, I become one with the divine. See, just having moments like that of like little reminders, like, oh yeah, why am I taking this so seriously? Why am I stressing out about this? Why am I giving control to this situation, to this person, to this environment? Why do we do that?
There's so many reasons.
Right?
And if you can't get yourself out of it, reach for the people that you know can help you pull
Hmm.
out of your swamp and be willing to let them pull you out of the hole that
Yeah.
you're in.
I jotted a few things down before the show, and one of them was expand your support network.
Oh,
Yeah. So, very appropriate. I I think it's important to have a support team, even if it's just one or two people. We're never meant to go through things alone. And it's really important when I said to be there for others, also allow them to be there for you too.
hmm. And when you're expanding your support network, there could be a realization that there are certain people that are good at certain things, and then other people that aren't necessarily good at, depending on what the support is. On your board of directors or your support network, it's beneficial to have people that will push back and just call you out a little bit, and then people that can support you through what you're going through, and knowing
Mhm,
which one you might need, maybe both. But you also have to have people that, if you just collected a bunch of people that are just going to agree with you and just get into that, um, bitch and moan sort of session, and just get into that energy, that's not helping the stress level either. That's not pulling out and reaching for a little higher level and learning to let go of whatever it is that's
Neither
bugging
is the continual loop of repeating the same thing over and over and over, which is insanity, which causes a lot of unnecessary stress. We There's no judgment, but a lot of the people who first come into vibes, a lot of them are in that space, right?
you.
They have a
Yeah.
story, they are holding on to it for dear life, and part of the unwinding and part of the letting go is to stop repeating the same story.
Oh, yes. Because when you repeat the same story, it does repeat the same day. It's
Mhm.
Groundhog Day. Because what it's the creation, what our thoughts create our world, and that aspect of it.
Right.
To say, well, just take a chance to tell the story differently.
Mhm.
And if you're open to the shift and the change, you will be willing to tell the story differently.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's helpful to walk just to imagine someone else's perspective. They're not from you. They're not the same as you. A lot of
Mhm.
times we can be stressed out about people's behavior of saying,
Yeah, because we want control.
we want them to behave a particular way. And so if we could change their behavior, then we would no longer have the trigger. But that is not true. It's
Mhm.
our button. Our button remains our button. Even if we adjust one person's behavior, then we have to have the next person behavior that would push the button. People say
Mhm.
they push my buttons. Well, sometimes there are people that will be button pushers, and
Mm.
figuring out how to disarm that or shift boundaries, these different
Or
types of things.
again, breathe.
Breathe.
Just breathe. I think a lot of times it comes down to that.
Let's talk about surrender for a second.
Oh, yeah, we've talked about this. Let's do it.
Surrender to, um, so one of the things that I didn't jot down on paper, but I had noted in my mind was a distrust of life can cause stress when we don't trust that life is working for us.
Good point. I'm glad you brought that up.
And so that's important to surrender to life because life is always
Mhm.
bigger than us and relaxing. So a good analogy is when if you're floating down a river and you turn and you have your feet towards the up river flow, that's not smooth ride. So you to turn your feet down as the river's flowing and go with the flow of the river.
Yeah.
And life is a river and it's flowing. It is so much bigger than us. To surrender to the bigger flow, then that allows for those voices to come through a little bit more cleanly, and it allows other people that may be trying to support you in various situations to actually be able to hear
Right.
things different. So the surrender aspect.
Mhm.
And I know you've been working on that. What do you have to say about that?
Surrender. Ah, this is what has been the biggest thing for me the last couple of years is trusting that whatever is meant to be will be. What's meant for me will find a way. And really leaning into that and trusting that I may have choices, but I control nothing. If if something is destined for me, the universe has a way of guiding us to where we're meant to go, what we're meant to learn, who's meant to be in our life as a friend or a teacher, an experience, whatever that looks like. And so I feel like with the act of surrendering, it really is just a giant trust fall. You really just fall and believe with your whole heart that the universe has your back. God, creator, whoever you look to as a higher power will catch you no matter what, and you'll always be taken care of. Nothing happens in your life by accident. It's all by this beautiful design. And I know a lot of times in the moment we think that we're the only ones going through this experience and no one understands how we feel. No one understands what it looks like or feels like or any of that. And that's just not true. And if we take a step back and look at the bigger picture and realize, looking back, like at all of our experiences, we've always made it out. We've always made it through. And when we were in it, we never thought we could. But somehow it always works out in the end. And one of my favorite sayings is, if it always works out in the end. If it hasn't worked out yet, it's not the end, because it always does. It just always does. And I really trust that with my whole heart. There's no way that I can deny that because I experienced it in my life. I see it playing out in everyone else's life around me. And there are some people who are really, really heavy. They're really in the thick of their experience. And I think it's beautiful. I think it's so beautiful when they're in it because I know when they come out on the other side, they're going to have so much gratitude because they're going to be a different version of themselves, a better version of themselves, a stronger version, a more enlightened version. They're going to be much different on the other side. And I just trust the experience always now. I've I've practiced it. I live it. I I feel like I'm constantly in a state of, we'll just see what happens. We'll just see. I don't know. I can't predict that. We'll just see what happens. And I just actively work on myself. All I can do is control myself and my reactions and actions to the experience. And the biggest part is surrender, let go. That's what I have to say about that.
That was so beautiful. Beautifully put. I'm
Are
having
you
some
well,
my tickle in my throat and surrender to the experience of the release.
mm,
It-
yes.
Life just doesn't it really doesn't go according to a plan. It,
Oh,
it,
it sure does not. How many of us have tried to plan exactly, and has it ever turned out exactly how you planned it?
I
Never.
think I think definitely one of the reasons why um, it doesn't flow like that is we in our human form can't possibly know what's in our highest and best good,
Mhm,
and we inherently wouldn't put ourselves through some of the things that actually grow us. And so
mhm,
there's part of that that said, okay, there's all difficult spaces have the opportunity to grow. You
mhm.
can't build strength without resistance.
Right.
Resilience is one of those things that's how do you bounce? Do you break? Sometimes it's a little bit of both,
Yeah.
bouncing and breaking.
And I love the beauty in that. That's why I love what the kind of work that we do.
Right.
There's so much beauty in the breaking, and there's so much that can grow in those little cracks and crevices. It's just amazing what the human body and mind are capable of if you just trust yourself.
And know that when your heart breaks or when we break for expansion. We have to sometimes we're like the snake shedding its skin
Yeah,
so we can grow because otherwise we would just remain the same size. And we're really meant to expand,
definitely.
expand, expand, expand.
Yeah. So breathe,
Breathe.
ground, ground, use your tools.
Surrender.
Let people help you. Let
Yeah.
go. All of the good stuff.
And let it go.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you to everyone in the chat rooms for your participation and your stress relief tips. If you have not already, if you guys will like our show and subscribe here on YouTube or on Facebook, it helps us a lot. We're kind of getting restarted here out on our own in the world. We really appreciate the support. It's so good. And if you guys have a show topic request, make sure you email us at connect@soulwanderings.com. Thanks everyone for being here. That's all we have for tonight.
Until next week.
Until next week with a new topic and a little less stress.
Yes.
We'll get it down eventually. Thanks for bearing with us. Have a good week, y'all. Good night.
Good night.